Hello and welcome everyone. This is Harshal Desai, part of editorial team at Elit's Technomedia Private Limited. I welcome you all to the Governance Leadership Summit, which is being hosted by Elit's Technomedia Private Limited on our virtual platform called Avatar. I once again thank you everyone. We have been joined here. Would like to introduce our panelists to the audiences. The subject is building for future, unlocking the smart city vision. And we are very glad that eminent panelists have joined us from across the country. I'd like to introduce our panelists. We have a senior IS officer from Maharashtra, Dr. Sanjay Kolte. Welcome you, sir.
Hello.
Thank you so much. Dr. Sanjay Kolte is Chief Executive Officer working at Pune Smart City Development Corporation Limited, Government of Maharashtra. Thank you and welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you. We have Miss Kranti Vallaru, Municipal Commissioner, Karimnagar, Government of Telangana. Welcome, ma'am. We have been joined also by Santosh Kumar, Municipal Commissioner, Shahjahanpur, Government of Uttar Pradesh. Welcome, sir. Mr. Bhudev Chakrabarti, Chief Executive Officer, Muzaffarpur Smart City Limited, Government of Bihar, and Dr. Apurva Sharma, Chief Executive Officer, Silvassa Smart City Limited, Dadra and Nagar Haveli. I once again welcome you all in this panel discussion. Thank you. The subject, we all know, we are all are going through a tough time, and we are going through this current pandemic which has affected smart cities mission as well. Smart cities SPBs, however, not only working on implementing the stalled projects but also ensuring the new projects are executed within the stipulated time frame. The session shall highlight the impact of COVID-19 on a smart city mission, challenges faced by municipal corporations and executives, executive officers in different smart cities. And we will like to start this with the first with a Q&A with everyone. And I understand that Dr. Sanjay Kolte also has a very interesting PPT to show. So before we do that, I would like to start this with question answer. And my first question is to Dr. Sanjay Kulte. Sir, I request you to share your opening remark on how we are building a better future in our smart cities, and what are the challenges that we have faced in in the times of COVID-19 recently.
Yes. Thank you, Arshal. Uh, Pune Smart City. I have been here for almost 9 months. In the when I was in the, I have entered Smart City mission probably in the last leg, because the mission for Pune City, it began in 2016 and it was supposed to end in 2021. However, we are in the extension period now. So whatever experience I have gone through in the mission, it shows the whole of the period I have been in the smart city mission is of COVID period, COVID pandemic period. And although it's a pandemic situation, the vision of the smart city is being taken forward by the all the activities of smart city plan for Pune city, which have been taken up, which have actually got the impetus right from 2017 or 18. So most of many projects have been completed, and yet uh, almost 50% of them are in various stages of completion. In this pandemic situation, the smart Pune smart city has been very pivotal in the monitoring part of the pandemic situation in the city, especially since municipal commissioner is the incident commander for COVID control and disaster management for the city. We, in tandem with him, our integrated command and control center of Pune Smart City has taken the lead role right from day one in hosting the centralized war room for the COVID situation, and it coordinates it with the 15 local war rooms of 15 ward offices in the city. And it is equipped with all the modern technology of which has a dashboard which monitors the patient data using GIS technology and heat mapping technologies, ward-wise analysis of all the data of patients, the tracking of the contacts,
Yes.
in the formation of the containment zones, monitoring of the containment zones. The outcome of every COVID case is being monitored here. Likewise, the various COVID centers, monitoring of various COVID centers, availability of various facilities like beds, medicines, resources, everything is being monitored and controlled from the integrated command and control center of Smart
Right.
City. Uh, and this has been continued in the second year now. We are in the almost entered the second year in the second wave is although towards end, but we have been doing it. In the
Yes.
meantime, Smart City has launched Arogya Dheer app, which helps in tackling the patients who are in home isolation.
Okay.
The doctors from the government hospitals or the private doctors join them on in video conferencing and advise them uh, and also monitor their status of health through this Arogya Dheer. We also have launched eSci Clinic. It is a venture for keeping the psychological health of the COVID patients,
Yes.
the patients in isolation to be intact, or they should be in good morale and should have positive impact on on their health improvement. So eSci Clinic has been very instrumental in handling these COVID
Yes.
patients.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Sanjay Kolte. We all are aware that the integrated command and control center have been, been very effective in managing COVID-19. In some of the smart cities have made very good use of the integrated command and control center to monitor and tracking and handling COVID pandemic. And PSDCL is one of the example which has made the most of this wonderful infrastructure in the city. I'd like to go to Ms. Kranti Vallaru, ma'am, from Karimnagar Municipal Commissioner, Government of Telangana. Ma'am, how can smart cities contribute to building a smart, sustainable, and resilient nation, especially after COVID pandemic now? How has been your experience so far in the Karimnagar Municipal Corporation?
Thank you, Harshal, and good afternoon, all senior officers present on this panel. I have been posted as Karimnagar Municipal Commissioner and Managing Director for Karimnagar Smart City Corporation Limited since February 3rd, 2020. So as soon as I took charge, within 1 month, Karimnagar hit national headlines with a group of 10 Indonesian travelers testing positive for COVID. And that's how the COVID management and prevention strategies also were to be set in by the administration. And so regarding the question you have asked, see, India is a rapidly urbanizing country. So by 2031, some statistics say that around 75% of the national income comes from the urban areas. So in this scenario, when urban areas are going to be the centers for economic growth, Smart Cities mission was launched to ensure that the cities are the centers of economic growth, and the quality of life of the people in the cities also is enhanced. So the themes which you have asked for, the resilience and the strength and sustainability are at the core of smart city vision. So even at Karimnagar Smart City Corporation Limited, we are implementing projects which enhance the core strength of the city, like basic infrastructure projects, stormwater drains, the underground drainage network, smart roads, integrated solid waste management, etc. And at the same time, we are also taking up projects which will improve the sustainability aspect, like providing walkways, cycling tracks, public spaces, rainwater harvesting structures, solar rooftop solar energy projects, and thereby ensuring holistic development of the city. Thus, the smart cities with its core vision will help to pave the way for India to be strong and resilient.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Vallaru, for sharing those inputs and opening remarks. Santosh Kumar Sharma, Municipal Commissioner from Shahjahanpur Smart City, has joined us from Government of Uttar Pradesh. Welcome, Mr. Santosh Kumar. Thank you so much for joining. You are on mute, sir. would like to understand, sir, what are the latest initiatives you have undertaken in Shahjahanpur and how the COVID pandemic has affected the growth of smart cities in your esteemed organization?
Uh, in Shahjahanpur, as we were talking, but Shahjahanpur, it's a city where we are not a centrally sponsored smart city, but we are a state smart city under
Right.
state
Yeah.
smart city. And if you say regarding the smart cities, I think there are four major pillars for building any city as a smart. That's social, physical, institutional, as well as economical. So in institutional, what we talk about in institutional areas, governance is the major part for that, how we can make any city as a smart through our governance. So if we are talking regarding COVID pandemic, so what we say, this pandemic has seen so many phases. Now we are in the post-peak period, and in smart cities through ICCC, we have seen so many good practices and so efficient. There were efficient mechanism for the COVID control. So in smart cities, how we proceeded and how we did COVID control. So you can say in smart city through ICCC, what we did through ICCC, we identified the COVID patients. We identified the pockets where the high density of COVID patients were there, and after identifying them, we allotted them facility. We did facility allocation in the term of home isolation, in the term of facility allocation like L1 hospital, L2 hospitals, and L3 hospitals, depending on the scenario of the patient, health status of the patient. After that, we did a monitoring, two-way monitoring, we can say, monitoring of our government functionaries and monitoring through citizens. Monitoring of our government functionaries is basically through monitoring of our Nigrani Samiti. In UP, we have deployed a lot number of Nigrani Samiti in every ward. In urban areas, in every ward there was Nigrani Samiti. So working of Nigrani Samiti, working of RRT. RRT is the name for Rapid Response Team. So working of the RRT and working of the cluster response team. So these monitoring we did through ICCC, and after all from the citizen side, we did calling, rigorous calling from all the citizens who are in the home isolation, who are in the facility allocation, and we try to solve all the problems of our patients. And oxygen management was a major sector in during the COVID second phase of the COVID. So ICCC worked a lot in the oxygen management also. How much oxygen is required in which facility, and how can we provide oxygen, and not only oxygen but essential injections like remdesivir and other. The main type of medicines we focused how to manage it better for the benefit of the community. So ICCC really it's played a vital role in the pandemic control, and now it's a post-peak period, and we have changed our scenario, and the role of ICCC is slightly changed now. Now we are focusing on the rigorous vaccination, intensive vaccination. We are focusing, yes, we are focusing on building immunization. The people should be immune. So now our focus is changed, and we are working in this area and in this field.
Thank you so much, Mr. Santosh Kumar. Now I will request Bhudev Chakravarti. Sir, how Muzaffarpur Smart City has played its role in the first year of pandemic, and what are the projects probably that have been affected due to this pandemic, and how you strategize to complete them in near future now?
Thank you. So before going to the COVID, because we are already discussing a lot about this,
Yes.
taking care of the COVID. So I think that we should understand the purpose of a smart city and how we are planning to actually tackle the issues. So the primary purpose or vision of a smart city is, the smart living. So how can we make our living better? How can we make our living much more sensitive to the society, sensitive to the pollutions and other types of emissions, whatever is happening in the world today. So that way, if you see that, so smart cities should focus on that to make our living better. And on that part, I think that Muzaffarpur was a low-lying areas, was having a lot of low-lying areas, and it is flooded all the time. And we have, through these new initiatives, we have nearly solved 70% of the problem has been solved, and the rest 30% also we are going to solve in next 6 months' time. So if you see from that point of view, yes, smart city initiative actually helped the citizen to have a better living place, and also doing their normal, running the normal lifestyle during the rainy seasons or when heavy rains are there. Second point I want to mention is that we are always talking about a lot of technologies being used, and we know that number of appliances being used in various buildings and shopping complexes and other places. Now, if we see that 39% of the total emissions, the carbon emissions, whatever is there in the world, is actually coming from the real estate. So that is all the buildings and the complexes and whatever we are developing in the name of advancement of the cities. So we also should think about how to reduce the carbon footprint and use more sustainable and green type of appliances in our in our buildings and in our environment. So we have already started some discussions on this side, and we are really trying to design some of the things which actually will will bring a lot of green environment across the Muzaffarpur city. For example, we have a very beautiful lake within our city, which is not much used by the people for the tourism purposes. So what we have started is developing a total the areas around the lake. We started developing it, so we have started planning it, and we are going to develop it in 6 months to 1 year time. And we are going to create a complete green environment there where people can come and enjoy. And in turn, we can say that we are going to enhance the living standard of the people of Muzaffarpur city.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Bhudev Chakravarti. Dr. Apurva Sharma has joined us from Silvassa Smart City Limited, and would like to request Dr. Apurva Sharma for opening remark. And one additional question to Dr. Apurva Sharma is that besides your opening remark on the significance of the subject, cycles are being promoted aggressively in your city, if I'm not wrong. So would like to understand more about the project, and please let the audience know how effective the campaign has been so far.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Basically, this period that we had seen recently, the second wave of COVID, it has affected us, all of us. Not a single family has remained that is not affected by this COVID second wave. So it was a particularly tough time, but for our projects, the consultants were not well, even they were not, their teams were not well, the supplies were getting affected, and all those issues were there. So we reoriented ourselves during this period to augment the medical facilities in the district. So from Smart City, we purchased ventilators. We ensured the construction of the new block of medical hospital was completed in time. The liquid oxygen plant. So the technological know-how was provided by Smart City. So when we were struggling with refilling of cylinders time and again, so we asked our consultants to suggest solutions, and then we were able to come up with, yes, we should get a liquid oxygen tank. So before, like, it was the liquid oxygen tank was installed within 15 days. So we were able to cater to our citizens through those tanks. The pipings were done, they were imported from UK. We leveraged the Smart City network to get the resources on ground and get it implemented. So that was one of the big things that we did during COVID. Apart from that, what the rest of the colleagues have said have been done here also. The management, how we had ward-wise teams and all those things, data management, data interpretation, and all those things. Yeah, with the specific question with respect to cycles, what we are doing in Silvassa, we had everybody in the team, right from our chairperson to the board, and everybody have been aggressively promoting cycling. So what we understood from the study of our city was that the routine, normally what we do is public bike sharing, is not very practical for cities like ours, because ours is a 17 square kilometer city. So if you understand, 4 by 4 kilometers, we don't have the usual last mile and first mile connectivity issues, because those last mile and first mile is hardly 200 meters, 300 meters. So you cannot have so many public bike sharing these centers. So what a person usually walks or cycles, that person usually has the cycle at his home, or if he's using a public transport like our electric buses, which have been put in place by Smart City, then he does not have that first mile, last mile connectivity issues. So what we are going for is public bike leasing system. So anybody who wants bikes can lease it from Smart City and use it on their own, and Smart City takes a small amount of money for them. So for different kind of people, so who are we targeting from the public bike leasing policy? We are trying to target two kind of people. One is, Silvassa being an industrialized area, we have a lot of workers who walk to their offices, to their workplaces. So those workers we are targeting, and the second category that we are targeting is school children. So we have a scheme from the government that provides bicycles to 8th standard girls, but it does not provide bicycles to boys. So those boys are left out. So we are providing for the public bike leasing facility. Apart from that, the government servants who are wanting cycles are, from Silvassa Smart City, we are giving on lease 100 rupees per month. We are charging, and if that person, the only condition that we have attached to that is that he has to cycle at least 3 days a week to office. Monsoon period we give exemption. Apart from that, you have to cycle 3 days a week. If you don't cycle, surrender the cycle within 15 days of stopping the use of cycle. If we on inspection find that you have not used it, then we are imposing a penalty of 1000 and surrendering it. So this has it has not only motivated people to lease cycles, but they have also started using cycles, and we have been able to encourage people in using cycles. Apart from this, we have also identified cycling lanes and all. A lot of support has come from people, elected representatives, who have enabled us to go ahead with the cycling project. The collector and everybody right across the board have supported this program. Even the president of the council, he comes on cycles at times. So the kind of momentum that has been generated is very good over here.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing those interesting point, Dr. Apurva Sharma. To Kranti Vallaru ma'am, I'd like to ask that, besides cycling and other components, creating open spaces was also one of the major tasks, assigned to, or probably several smart cities undertook that. Now, in the times of pandemic, where people are not going out, and with the massive adoption of digital media and work from home culture, how these open spaces will be leveraged?
Yeah, in post-COVID era, we have seen an increase in work from home formats, and even more and more adoption of digital media for conferences, meetings, etc. So in this scenario, a lot of people are confined to their homes for their professional work. And at the same time, we have seen an increase in demand for open spaces, because people would also like to come out and relax and rejuvenate in open spaces. So there is, because of this increased demand, we are focusing more on creating parks. Even under Smart City Mission, we are taking up 2 parks, and under the corporation also, we are taking up more and more parks, so that we can provide more open spaces to people to come out and do exercise, take up fitness activities, etc. We are developing our stadium, so that playgrounds will be open to the students and youth. And open gyms, we are planning for 30 open gyms in our city, and also walking tracks at different places, and also cycling tracks, so as to encourage cycling. So in this post-COVID era, I think there is a huge demand for open spaces, and we also need to focus on them. And in the parks also, if we can provide the Wi-Fi hotspots and open workspaces in a creative manner, I think it will be helpful for people to come out and work in the public spaces.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Santosh Kumar, any such initiatives being undertaken by you where be it related to open spaces or bringing people together, of course, by maintaining social distancing after COVID. People are also facing a lot of mental problems, and there are corporations which are also undertaking projects to consult people virtually and helping them to keep their morale high during this pandemic.
Thank you so much. It's a very appropriate question. It's the need of the hour. That how can we use innovative way our open public space. In Shahjahanpur, we did a lot, and one we have created a Shaheed Park in a 10 hectare of the land. 10 hectare. It's a huge land patch. We have during 1 year we planted more than 25,000 saplings, and they all are in very well conditions. So we did Miyawaki forestation in different patches of our city, and we created some oxygen roads. Oxygen road means we planted oxygen producing trees like people. We planted along our roadsides, and we prepared and we mobilize and we promote the pedestrian use of the park and the roads. So in a lot of ways we are doing in our city, and as you know that approximately 10 to 12 square meters space, open space per person, for the healthy living of a person, it's required. And in Shahjahanpur city, we are trying to maintain that open space for every person. And approximately in our city, approximately 30% land we are allotting for the recreational purpose, open space for greeneries, all those things. So we are doing a lot of things in this way. We always we believe that in dense urban areas, we must allow public to go in the open space and walk through physical distancing norm. And physical distancing always we ensure it that when you are in pedestrian way, you are walking, so the distance may be more than 2 meters. One person and each person there we must maintain 2 meters of the distance. And in a pedestrian also in the different part of cities in streets, we are making it pedestrian friendly. We put the barrier and we stop the moving the vehicles and commercial vehicles. And we during containment zone, when we made its containment zone, and this practice is now continued. The streets are being used for the pedestrian purpose. So we are doing all those things which is beneficial for our public and our citizens.
Right. Thank you so much. One more question for Bhudev Chakravarti ji, and then we will request Dr. Sanjay Kolte for the presentation. Mr. Chakravarti, which are the areas of prime importance for you post-COVID that you will be paying attention to?
Okay, so from the smart city point of view, actually, if, we really need to develop the infrastructure in a manner where people can, gather and enjoy the environment. At the same time, they can keep a certain amount of isolations, between the families. Because this is one of the area which we found is, not taken care in India, not only in Muzaffarpur. In India, we are actually taking care at this point of time. So this is one of the areas which positively is we have to focus more, and we have to find out a ways of doing that. Second area, I will consider that, because of this work from home, and after the work from home, the moment these people will start coming out, they will look for something in a little different way, because, previously when we were going out, we were mainly going for the entertainment type of activities. But because of this home isolation, so we are too much into those type of activities. So I'm expecting that the people going to cinema halls and other things will come down, because already we have seen too many movies during this period. So we are expecting that they will look for more like trekking, enjoying with the family, so family environment, then cycling, which we are already hearing from Dr. Apurva and Kranti that yes, cycling, a lot of new people will be joining to this cycling mode, and they will try to enjoy through these cycling activities. So like that, we have to actually find out innovative ideas so that people enjoy through, maybe we may say they are the basic areas which we used to do before. So, but maybe in our smart city, we have to bring those things. For example, I can just take 1 minute to give an example. Is that sometime back, I think 4 or 5 years back, I went to a village in Assam, a very, very remote village. Actually, only last 2-3 kilometers, only the local vehicles are there. No bus or any other vehicle goes. So there I stayed for nearly 10 days, and I really enjoyed the time, and I found that we are really missing something in our life. And so I just think that this is what the world is going to be. And we will be more focused into open areas, more focused into the natural activities. And in our smart city vision, I think it is a good time to add those things also. And that should be our future vision.
Great thoughts, Mr. Bhudev Chakravarti. I'll of course come to everyone again with at least one more question. But before we do that, I'll request Dr. Sanjay Kulte. He has a very interesting presentation to show. I request Dr. Sanjay Kulte to present the slides and for about 10 minutes, and then we'll take one more round of questions. Over to you, Dr. Sanjay Kulte.
Thank you, Harshal.
Yes, sir. Perfect. Thank you.
It is
Visible.
everyone.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. I'll take it in two parts. First, I'll just cover the initiatives which we have taken up in Pune Smart City, and in the second part, we'll just see the concepts, the activities where there is a scope for smart cities to unlock their potential. So, in a nutshell, information about Pune City, it's the 8th most populous city in India. It has an area of 340.45 square kilometers. 33.7 lakhs is the population. From the transport point of view, it's a sensitive city in the sense that more than 46 lakhs vehicles have already been registered, and almost 500 to 600 cars get registered per day here. It's the fifth largest city in terms of GDP, and 1065 billion rupees is the GDP of this city. Besides our Pan City initiatives, the area-based development is concentrated in Aund, Baner, and Balewadi. These are the three areas which are towards the east side of the Mumbai-Pune highway. In tandem with the sustainable development goals, we have taken up certain projects. For example, SDG 1, we have the Mera Thela application, which is an interface between the hawkers and the customers. In SDG 3, again, health and well-being, we have health management information system, which is almost complete now, and it is about to be launched in say 1 or 2 months. In the sector of education, we have done with digital education system. We have also set up smart schools and e-learning in the city. In clean water and sanitation sector, we plan to go ahead with riverfront development. It has a big area of river length of more than 16 kilometers in Pune city. So that is planned to be taken up, and SPV has also been formed especially for this riverfront development by Pune Municipal Corporation. In the industry, innovation and infrastructure sector, again, it's a center of excellence has been set up at the level of smart city. The smart city plan is very exhaustive. In the transport sector, we have very important schemes of road widening, road redevelopment, where we take care of the all utilities being converted into underground utilities along with the cycle tracks. We are almost through setting up cycle tracks for 45 kilometers in the city. Footpaths are being recreated for almost 60 to 65 kilometers, and road painting, street furniture, and all these allied works regarding roads are also being taken up. Our adaptive traffic management system, we are in the process of tendering now, and we soon will be able to launch it, which will have vehicle detectors and sensors, and will be covering almost 260 signals in the city, and it will be also accompanied by the mobile transport information in the form of mobile applications for all the citizens. E-buses, 153 e-buses are plying in the city, and they have been very much instrumental in reducing the energy consumption in the city, as well as the pollution. Public bicycle sharing has also been implemented here for almost 1 year. We have completed the traffic master plan for the city. We have intelligent road asset management system, which guides the developments of roads and pavements, and keeps the track of the development so that there is no duplication, and timely problems are attended. In the livability sector, again, we have done many important projects. We are setting up, Smart City has set up a disaster management center, which is almost in the last leg of completion now. Some fire tenders have also been procured for the municipal corporation. In the smart tourism, again, we are planning to, with the help of Pune local transport authority, we are planning to start tourism activity. Then placemaking is a major activity in the city, where we have almost 24 open spaces or amenity spaces which have been handed over by the local municipal corporation, and Smart City has taken them up for development into theme-based spaces, open spaces, and it is attracting very good response from the citizens, because these are the places, they are becoming new hubs in the local neighborhoods, making them clean, green. Almost every week, almost 200 to 250 people gather on weekends. Of course, during this pandemic period, taking due COVID precautions, all these things, citizen engagement activities are being taken up. It has a wide variety of activities covered in our placemaking, right from science park, environmental park, water conservation project, augmented reality park. We are also setting up park for the senior citizens, and also a smart clinic, a container smart clinic. 3 smart clinics have been created in containers, and these clinics have been very much instrumental in the pandemic period, and they are being used for OPD for the COVID patients. Some sports activities have also been created in these amenity spaces. In the water sector, with the help of municipal corporation, 24/7 water supply and allied reservoirs and smart metering and all these things have already been implemented, and it is underway. We intend to take up river water cleaning on PPP mode sooner, and then STP is also planned to be taken. Additional STP is planned under the Smart City mission. In the health sector, as I said, HMIS and the smart clinics have been set up. In solid waste management, we are planning to go for robo, that is Bandicoot, for the sewer cleaning, and I think we plan to start using them within a month in the city. In the smart elements, again, as I mentioned already, IEEE is being actively used. We have almost more than 700 elements established in the city, which includes Wi-Fi hotspots, the variable message displays, the emergency call boxes, the public address systems, environmental sensors, and the flood sensors. And they are very useful for all the departments and all the disaster management departments for handling the emergency situation with the use of real-time data. In the energy sector, solar energy has been used in the Pune University campus. Solar energy activity has also already been completed. Integrated command and control center. This shows the architecture of the center, and activities from allied departments have been mapped or have been integrated with this center with the help of APIs. And it includes the transport information from the local transport corporation, ITMS from PMPML, then the grievance handling system of Pune Municipal Corporation, PMC Care, then the vehicle tracking system of Pune Municipal Corporation and the police, and also the traffic monitoring part through TomTom, then the ambulance monitoring, and with the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, we have IITM again SAFAR is also being integrated and it is being implemented. We are the biggest contributor to IUDX, India Urban Data Exchange Platform, with the help of our besides our smart elements, the various allied integrated applications also. ICCC was again used as a COVID war room, again mapping of each COVID patient and the containment zones and monitoring and analysis work has been done to large scale. This is again placemaking, again which I already mentioned, list of placemaking. Smart City fortunately has during the last 5 years almost 25 awards have been won by the Pune Smart City. They are from organizations like MOVA and Scotch and some other organizations also. In the building the future and unlocking the smart cities mission, it is very imperative that now stress on newer and enabling and more efficient technologies is the need of the hour. Again, the innovation in buildings and construction, monitoring of buildings is very essential. Efficient use of energy, smarter use of energy is the another sector which the smart cities need to look for. Then smart water and waste management is also the need of the hour. Technology of use of 5G or AI and machine language, cloud, edge computing, this can be stressed to a greater extent to bring about given the exponential increase in the number of IoT devices being used in our various ICCCs or the command and control centers in the smart cities. Investment in high-speed connectivity is also very much area to be focused, because there is a shift for work from home to a great extent, and so reliable and secure high-speed connectivity is very essential, and the private sector also needs to emphasize on this part. We need to identify the vulnerabilities. Also, telecom and technology companies need to work in collaboration with the governments for reliable networks, cybersecurity, backups. Intelligent building management systems will be essential by use of more and more use of IoT devices and digital twins of buildings, because the patterns of management in one building can be replicated at the city level by creating the digital twins and making it more sustainable, repeatable, thereby reducing the costs. Smarter use of energy and the use of energy in proportion with the occupancy of the buildings, that can be emphasized in the near future. Dynamic power consumption, where the variation can be made as per the demand during the various parts of the day, parts of the year, and that monitoring can be done in a smarter way by the modern technology. Improved energy sourcing and management, as we have already mentioned, creation of microgrids for local sources of energy, and use of smart meters. This can help in making the efficient use of energy and lowering the energy consumption as such. Smarter water and waste management is also required. Not the old technique of moving from bin to the landfill is not sufficient now. Smarter use, basically the reducing, reusing and recycling waste should be the motto now in the challenges which are being faced in the growing urban areas of the smart cities. for making these cities resilient and smart, sustainable, that should be the main aim, because ultimately that will only pass on the benefits to the residents and the government. So they're making the city more beautiful, green, livable, and smarter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that very comprehensive presentation. It was Dr. Sanjay Kolte, and thank you so much. Taking one of the clue from this presentation, I would like to ask Dr. Apurva Sharma. Silvassa is, if I'm not wrong, attracts a lot of tourists from Gujarat and Maharashtra also. So, would like to understand what are the initiatives you have taken into this space in your region.
Yes, basically Gujarat, we get a lot of tourists from Gujarat and Maharashtra because of the cheaper liquor that we have. So the tourists are at present, they are not tourists for sightseeing in Silvassa, but rather they are for marriages and events, company events, so the conventions and all.
Yes.
So we get that kind of clientele. So we are trying to attract people who are wanting to come closer to nature. Dadra Nagar Haveli has a lot of greenery. So what we are doing right now is we are developing, most of the cities and many places in India have developed hardscaped riverfronts. What we are doing is we are developing a soft-scaped riverfront where there is greenery, where there is open grounds and all, right next to the hardscaped riverfront. Then, apart from that, what we are doing is we are demolishing a lot of government buildings right in the heart of the city. So we are giving a green open space in the heart of the city. We are shifting them to outside the city so that there is open green space right in the center of the city. So our tourism building is being demolished, our sports complex is being demolished, our SMC building, the old SMC building is being demolished. We are demolishing the Pal Bhavan, and all these areas are being converted into open green spaces right in the heart of the city. Apart from this, we are demolishing the old the accommodation that we have for government servants, and we are converting into high rise. So rest of the space that is there, we are going to convert it into open space for children to play. So where we want to attract the tourists is basically to the open green spaces, these water features and all, where people can connect with nature in Dadra and Nagar Haveli. We don't have any much of historical buildings or that. We just have the collectorate and the one church that we have. So we have nature and we have to attract people to the nature. We are also preserving, we are conserving and restoring Piparia River. That is one of the river that flows through Silvassa. So we are improving the water quality. We are doing it in situ conservation of that river, so that throughout the year there is clean and water, and it is actually utilizable. Then we have a check dam already on the Damanganga River that also flows through Silvassa. We are starting water sports there. So for tourists, we'll be able to, and these water sports are they're going to be without the use of fossil fuels. So we are going to give water sports like kayaking and all, so that there's exercise, there is there's scope for improvement of health as well as protection and conservation of the nature and the environment that we have over there. So these are the steps that we're taking for the promotion of tourists and tourism. We are developing like in Shahjahanpur, we have developed the Miyawaki plantations have been done. We are doing the same thing in Silvassa also. We are basically encouraging the private sector also to cater to the citizens. Apart from this, there is one particular space right in the right near the entry of the city that we are converting into a Warli experience village. So it is what basically Warli is a local tribe that we have here. So people, how they live there, how they eat there. So there will be a virtual experience center. Plus there will be their huts. The Warli huts are made up of bamboo, and Warli huts are made up of mud and grass. So they can experience that what sort of a hut it is. They don't have windows. So this is a very remarkable thing that they don't have any windows. So these things they'll be able to experience, their cuisine they'll be able to experience. Plus we are also creating a tribal one around it. So we will have people from different tribes, not people, their architecture, their cuisine from different tribes, and we'll be giving an experience of what are the different tribes and how different they are from each other. Otherwise, we generally, we just label them as tribes. So they are not all hunting gathering. So these are the things that we're doing. Apart from this, we are also going for certain things like on the sustainable aspect. We are building bus stops out of bamboos.
Okay.
So these are totally sustainable. There is no, we are not using any plastic in the entire construction of the bamboo bus stop. Where it is no bricks are being used. These are all locally available, green, eco-friendly materials. Even for tourists, what shops we are opening, small shops where tribals can sell their own tribal produce. We are opening them in 11 places in Dadra Nagar Haveli. Those are, one has already been opened. It is also totally made up of bamboo. And this bamboo is treated bamboo, so it lasts for 25-30 years. So nothing is going to happen. So we have this conception that, these materials will not last. But contrary to that, what we have experienced is these are very durable if they are properly treated. So these are the initiatives that we are taking for the tourists, and also keeping in mind the local people, because tourists are only a small number. We first cater to our local people and then to the tourists. So that is the idea that behind the development that we are doing in Smart
Great,
City.
great. Thank you so much and wish you all the luck. Ms. Kranti Valluru, what is that one unique thing that you would like to develop in Karimnagar?
It's difficult to narrow down to one unique thing because as a municipal commissioner and as CEO of Smart City, there are like several important projects. I think something I can just tell, which is very much close to my heart, the greenery. Uh, and state government priority here is also like a lot plantation and taking up Harita Haram for the state in monsoon season. So that is very close. And last time also we have taken up 1.5 lakh plantations. And in 10 locations, we have taken up Miyawaki plantations, and all roads which are approaching to city or being decorated with 3-layered plantation. And within the city also, we are taking up avenue plantation all along the main roads, and even internal roads within the streets also, wherever we have 30 feet roads, we are taking up plantation. Even when we are having CC roads or BT roads, at the end we are going to the extent of removing the CC and BT and filling it up with red soil and taking it up. All the main roads are covered with median plantations, which is giving a very good look to the road. So this monsoon season also, the plantation activities have started, the preparation and everything. So hopefully we'll make the city greener this time.
Great, great. Dr. Sanjay Kulte, if you see around India and since the other smart cities also, one general question would like to understand from you is that because of pandemic, is it true that the progress of smart city mission has been slowed down, and we are just on the verge of ending the second wave, and the third wave is also expected. So will this be the same situation in near future also, where we'll see minimum number of projects being implemented and executed? A general opinion, sir.
Yes, I think all of us will agree that now we have our SOPs now in place for handling the even the pandemic situations also. The period in which the restrictions are stricter, we have the SOP now ready in how to go ahead. In case of infrastructure works mainly, there is a issue of labor. And now our vendors, now we have ensured that our vendors have made arrangements for their staying separately, so that there is no migration of labor, and there is no hindrance to the progress of the project. So this kind of things have already been now thought of, and they have been worked out. Uh, we were better off in the second wave, although it was a harsher wave. But then our works wise and infrastructure works wise, the situation was better, and there was better continuity could be maintained in the works. So I don't think there will be much setbacks. We will be able to rather more or less maintain the momentum as it is now.
Right. Thank you so much. Would like to take closing remark from Bhudev Chakravarti sir also.
Yes, so positively, what we need to do now is that we have to continue the work as it was pre-pandemic situation. And as just now Dr. Sanjay sir has told that it is perfectly correct that we have nearly come into a way of working during the pandemic situations. So second wave, if you see the second half of the second wave, everything is working perfectly. Even our government projects are running fine. People are coming to the job, and the things are also working in a proper manner. And we are trying to keep the timelines whatever we have planned before. So that way, it is a good situations at present, at least from the government point of view or from the public sector working point of view. And and as I mentioned before, also that positively our aim will be to provide a livable, a beautiful place for the citizens to live and to enjoy their life, and keep the COVID memory in the back, and have a nice days in front.
Right.
That's all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all the panelists. I personally enjoyed interacting with you all on several subjects, and it was really wonderful welcoming you all on this wonderful platform and the Governance Leadership Summit. And I hope people who are watching us live on our 3D platform must have also enjoyed the interaction. I request them, uh, uh, if they have any question, please, they can get in touch with us. We had received a couple of questions, but since at 2:15 we have to start the next session, and this is the best thing about the virtual platforms, that everything is on time. So because we have to follow the technical protocol also. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us. As a token of appreciation, we would like to present virtual certificates to all our esteemed panelists. And I request my team to bring the virtual certificate on the screen. Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjay Kolte sir, Chief Executive Officer, Pune Smart City Development Corporation Limited, Government of Maharashtra, for the wonderful presentation and sharing your views. Thank you so much, Kranti ma'am, Kranti Vallaru, Municipal Commissioner, Karimnagar, Government of Telangana, for joining us. Thank you so much. Mr. Santosh Kumar, Municipal Commissioner, Shahjahanpur, Government of Uttar Pradesh. Thank you so much for joining. Mr. Bhudev Chakravarti, CEO, Muzaffarpur Smart City Limited, Government of Bihar. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. It was wonderful interacting with you. Dr. Apurva Sharma, Chief Executive Officer, Silvassa Smart City Limited, Dadra and Nagar Haveli. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And with this, we shall formally close this session here. And once again, we are grateful to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Harshal.